ready to go.
Okay, so I'm going to call to order the special meeting of council for Thursday, March 11th at 10 a.m. This meeting is to be held entirely virtually. Council, we have a resolution to hold the public meeting without public in attendance circulated in the agenda. Will someone move that motion? Moved by Councilor, seconded by Councilor Hanson. Call the question. All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carries. And now we have an agenda to approve, council. There's an agenda that's been circulated. Are there any errors or omissions from the agenda as presented? Hearing none, will someone move adoption of the agenda? I got moved by Councilor Back, second by Councilor Hanson. Call the question. All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carries. The agenda is adopted. Now we have the we're moving on to reports from council or staff. Today's singular purpose is to address the appointment of election officials for the 2021 school trustee by-election. And so for that, I'm going to go over to Mr. Gordon.
Yes, Your Worship. I'll just give a few brief background comments. I think everybody now knows around February 22nd, I believe it was, school trustee resigned. We were informed on the 24th, and the process is, well, first of all, we run the trustee elections for trustee electoral area 1, which is 4 of the 7 school trustees. So we're obligated to run the trustee by-election. We were informed duly by the Board of Education, and we have 30 days to appoint election officials. And that's the trigger for the date for general voting to be set on a Saturday within 80 days of appointment of the election officials. So that's the reason why really for the special meeting is if we had done it previously at a regularly scheduled meeting, general voting day would have fallen on May 24th of the long weekend. Probably not the best date. So by delaying appointments until today, we were able to stretch that out to general voting day being on Saturday, May 29th, which I think is probably a better day for all concerned. So that's why the special meeting. We're obligated at this point to appoint a chief election officer and a deputy chief election officer. That really gets the ball rolling from a statutory time frame perspective. But as you can imagine, we've been beavering away on this for the last 2 weeks quite intensely because there's a lot to do in general in a very tight time frame. Plus, you lay COVID on top of that. It's been quite a bit, and there's still quite a bit more to do. So, Your Worship, I'll answer any questions if there are any.
I was just going to mention we had some initial discussions about what an election plan might look like for this election. And the province does not give us the ability to do online voting for this election, but I know we were going to be seeking the ability to make it really easy for people to do mail-in options. Have you had any responses from the provincial government on relaxing any of those regulations?
No, good point, Your Worship. Internet voting is still a long way off, and it's a bigger issue for the province to resolve. So not applicable here yet, but we're hopeful for the future. But yes, in the time of COVID, there's been several municipal by-elections, several trustee elections already in the last, whatever that's been, sort of 14 months. And what's become common practice is seeking ministerial orders largely for 2 things. One is to permit universal mail voting. Currently, it's restricted to those with various illnesses or disabilities that aren't able to attend a voting place, or those that will not be present in the municipality on any of the voting opportunities. So that we've asked to be waived. It's quite common to have that approved. We are expecting that to be approved. The other ministerial order we're requesting is for oral declarations. When you turn up at the voting place, you're required to sign the voting book beside your name, which also states a declaration that you're entitled to vote, you haven't voted before. That's a high touch point with pens and paper. So again, it's been common to grant the order to have the person orally declare that, and the election official taking the oral declaration just makes a note, meaning initials beside the person's names, so that bit's been taken care of. We've made that request already. We've been working very productively with two ministry staffs at Municipal Affairs and Education. This order actually is granted by the Minister of Education. So that's moving along. We got in early. That was some of the advice from our colleagues. And we have every expectation that that order will be issued. And in fact, we're already committing to advertising about universal mail balloting. So we're taking a bit of a risk, but we're quite confident the minister will grant the order.
When do you anticipate you'll be able to share the rules of the election with the prospective candidates?
Sorry, with the prospective candidates?
Yes.
Maybe I'll summarize some dates first, Your Worship. As I said, General Voting Day is May 29th. We'll have two advanced voting opportunities. That will be Wednesday, May 19th, and statutorily we're constrained to having another advanced voting day on Monday, May 24th. That's the long weekend. So at least that's not General Voting Day, but that's one of two advanced voting days. So backing up a little bit further, the nomination window is where we receive nomination packages is April 13th to the 23rd. So on the afternoon of the 23rd, we'll know if it's acclamation or if we have a race. And then backing up further, the first notice will be in the newspaper on Wednesday, March 17th. So that'll be the first public notice. Nomination packages with a fair amount of detail will be available on the 16th of March. So to answer your question, Your Worship, we'll start engaging with prospective candidates as of probably the 17th when they first see the notice.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Hanson.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Just two questions I think the public would be interested to know the answer to, and if the clerk could provide what information he has. First of all, does the clerk have any idea what the cost to the district will be of holding this by-election? And secondly, when was the last time that a school board by-election was held, and what were the broad circumstances?
Get us on the right side here. I'm going to move the recommendation that's in the report. Councillor Hanson, will you second it?
I second it.
Thank you very much. To Councillor Hanson's questions, Mr. Gordon?
Yes, Your Worship, thank you for getting the motion on the floor. Yes, Councillor Hanson through the chair. The cost, I just want to be careful here because it's still evolving, but we've provided the school board with an initial cost estimate, which they have agreed to. And that dollar figure is $80,000, 80,000. And that is, well, I'll say inflation, and I'll refer to the last trustee by-election in a moment as well. Certainly inflation over the years since the last cost estimate or budget from a trustee election, and COVID-related matters. We've had to add, for example, an additional staff member to do disinfecting at each of the voting places, and all the sanitizing materials, etc. So that cost is covered by the school board. We run the election on behalf of the school board, and all additional costs are covered by the school board. So there is zero cost to the district other than opportunity cost. My time during my regular hours is devoted to it, but anything outside of routine hours, our purchases of supplies are all at the school board's expense. We're using schools for voting places, so no expense to them on that point. So that's this by-election. That's the cost, and the circumstances again are a resignation, which I won't go into. So your second question, last time we did this, 2009, that was when Jane Thornthwaite was secured a provincial MLA seat and resigned from the school board. 2009, and that by-election was $50,000, 50. So that's why I was saying certainly inflation over a 12-year period, plus slathering some COVID on top costs on top of that, have increased it quite markedly. Your worship.
Thank you. Councillor Hanson, any follow-up?
No, thank you very much, Your Worship.
Thank you. Councillor Back.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Just with regards to the number of voting places and the locations, can you comment on that? Is it the same as the last general election or less?
Your worship, to Councillor Back. Yes, good question. And the details will be published in the statutory notice in due time for the full record. But to answer your question, it will be less than the 2018 general voting, where we have 20 voting places. We've used the same model from the 2009 last trustee by-election, which was 7 voting places in the community, and the advanced voting, district hall and 1 other location. So just to characterize that, that's a reduced coverage. Our full-on election costs are to run 20 voting places was just over $200,000. So that's the full meal deal, so to speak, which through conversation with the school board is not necessary, that density of voting places in the community. However, we're certainly cognizant of that. So these 7 voting places at schools are spread out through the community to provide sub-regional access that we think, and the school board is satisfied, is appropriate access for the electors. And I think I've got the names here. Just bear with me for a second. On general voting day, May 29th, they will be Braemar, Capilano, Cleveland, Linmore, Sea Cove, Argyle, and Windsor. So those are the 7 in the community on general voting day. And I'll just say one last thing, Your Worship. Advanced voting day on the 19th, Wednesday, will be just at the district hall. However, the second advanced voting day, Monday, May 24th, will be at 2 locations, district hall and Windsor Secondary School for the folks east of Seymour, just to save them the trip up to the hall. We think that's probably a fair thing to do. Your Worship.
Thank you. Councillor Back, any follow-up?
No, Your Worship. Thank you very much.
I would say that Argyle's in a fairly heavy state of construction right now. That may have been used in the 09 election, but if you're looking for an alternative, Cardinal Hall on a Saturday is pretty available, just down the road on Frederick. But
That's Argyle. Okay, no, that's good. That's why I was a little hesitant about committing to the places where they were starting to gel a little bit, but and the school board had not indicated any issues, but we'll investigate that further. Thank you, Your Worship.
I don't think Cardinal Hall's typically booked up for preschools during the week, but Saturday election, Cardinal Hall's typically pretty empty. Okay. All right, Council, I see no further speakers on the matter. The motion is on the floor. I will call the question. All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carries.
Your Worship, we just should double check on Councillor Forbes' vote, given there's no video.
I didn't hear opposition from Councillor Forbes.
In favor.
In favor. Thank you very much. So you have unanimous support in favor of this. Council, that was all of the business that we had for today's meeting. So having completed that, if someone moves that we
Move.
So moved.
support. Thank you very much. Accepted. Have a great day.
Yep, good day.